Hi everyone, so before we get into the back end of this and I walk you through step by step how to build the branching interaction, I just wanted to put it up here again. I'm in the back end of Articulate Storyline 360 right now. I'm just in the preview mode and I'll just show you very quickly again what we're going to build. So this is the main slide here with the three initial answers. So these are the three paths. So path A outcomes will be from this button here, path B outcomes, and path C outcomes. So I'll just click through a couple of these. So if we clicked on the first one here, these are the other three answers here that lead to the three outcomes for path A. So there's one. If I clicked on the second answer here from the first scene, that would lead to these two answers, and then one of the outcomes is this one, and then path C. So here are the other three answers from path C that lead to the three outcomes. So that's pretty much what we're going to build. I'll now go to the back end of Articulate Storyline 360, and I'm going to go to the story view here, and I'm going to create a new scene. Okay, so I've created a new scene just so that we can build this from scratch over here so I don't interfere with my actual example. And I'm just going to go here. This is the first slide, and I'll just create a new slide. And I'm just going to use the basic layout, so title and content. There we go. So for the title, we're just going to type in branching interaction example. And we're going to insert the background image here. Now you can choose whatever image you want, but I'm just going to go to the Insert tab here and then Illustrations. And I'll just type in living room, kitchen as keywords. And this is the one I used before, so you don't have to use that. You can use whatever you'd like. Okay, and I'm just going to resize it here a little. Okay, and I'm going to send it to the back because I don't want it in front of everything. That's pretty good. So you could adjust it to crop it a little bit more if you'd like. So I'll just leave it like this. And then we're going to put in the character. So we'll go back to Insert, Character. I use Lily here, so I'm just going to use her again. And we'll go to an expression here. We want her to be at her desk with a phone, and we want her to be talking on the phone. So we'll choose this one. And then the pose will be the one where she has the phone here, sitting with the phone. And I'm just going to resize this and position it the way I had it before. So I'll just right click, but you can just drag it if you want and place it wherever you want and resize just by eye. But just so we get the same kind of look, I'll just right click and I just go to size and position, and I'll just type in the actual size I used before. And the position was, let's see, 231, 149. Okay, so that's where I had her before, so I'll leave it like that. And the text box here, so I'm just going to start typing what I had before. You can just follow along. Okay, so I'm going to adjust some things here. So I'll adjust the font, and we're going to put a gray rectangle behind this text as well. And we're also going to copy in the text from the file that will be linked in the description of this video that you can download to follow along with. So I'm going to go to that right now. So I'll show you how to use the file. You just need to copy the text that's below the screen, each screenshot. So here's the document with the screenshots for the flowchart. So this is the flowchart, and then if you scroll down, you can see I took the screenshots of every question or every path And because you can't copy from an image here, this text, I just put it below each screenshot. All right, so now I can copy this. You don't need to copy the word text, of course, but I'll just copy this. And then I can just go back here and paste that in. Now you can go to paste special if you want, but I don't think it'll matter right now. Okay, so now we're gonna have to adjust this a little bit. And I'm also going to have instructional text that's going to say, choose a response to continue. Okay, so let's adjust the font sizes and stuff here. So for the first line here, scenario scene 1, I'm just going to adjust this the way I had it before, but like I said, you can use whatever font you'd like. And I'm just going to bold this, put a shadow, and scene 1 here, same thing. And like I said, you can use whatever colors so that you want to use, so you don't need to follow this exactly. I'm going to make this bold as well. Okay, and I'm going to leave this as Open Sans font. I'm just going to, I think it's fine the way it is. Okay, so now let's put the gray background behind this. So we're just going to insert a shape, just a rectangle. It's going to look a little funny at first. I'm going to adjust the size and then we'll get to the color. So I'm going to make this 567. But like I said, you can just eyeball it. And the position, X will be, so this one. Okay, something like that. And let's close that now, and let's just go to Format, and we'll go to Fill Color. We're going to change this to some sort of gray. And we're going to set the transparency at 10%. Okay, so for the line color, we're going to change that as well. And we're going to create a shadow. Let's go to the presets. We're going to choose this one. And the text box, let's just double check it. Yep, it looks fine the way it is. Now we're going to also send this backward, not all the way. There. Okay, so we want the text to be in front of it. Another way to do that is you can also move it up and down in the timeline. And we do need this text here to not be overflowing it, so we're just going to reposition that. So I think that looks pretty good, but I'm going to just adjust the text box here a little bit. I think it needs to go a little higher, so let's just go to size and position here. And then I'm just going to bring it down. And then a little trick here to move it up again, because now we've brought it too far down, is to just click here in the space above that now says 16 font. Change that something smaller like 12, and it'll bring everything up. Okay, so I think that looks pretty good now for the positioning. So like I said, you can just play around with it until you get it the way you like. All right, we're pretty much going to be keeping everything within this box as we go along. So we might have to tweak things here and there. So let's just preview that. Actually, I'm going to save it. Okay, there we go. So I think it looks pretty good. Start out, we got to make sure that this base layer is good because we are going to be duplicating this and then duplicating other ones based on it. So we have to take our time with the first one. Okay, so now we're going to insert the clickable buttons. So we'll just go to Insert, Button, and I chose the round ones, but you can choose whatever you like. And I'm just going to place it here. We're going to adjust the size and everything. So we're in letter B for Articulate Storyline 360, so I'm going to show you a little bit more about the buttons just with the states and things like that. So first we're going to adjust it. So like I said, there's 3 different types there, all right? So you can choose the rectangle, the rounded rectangle, or this one, the oval kind of shape. And you can adjust it however you like with your the size and color and everything. So it's pretty customizable. And then you can type right into it as well. And then I'll talk about the states in a few minutes. So first let's adjust the size and position, and then we'll format it. So you can just follow along, or like I said, you can just do this by eye. Okay, so that's what worked out well for me before. Now, originally when I did this, I did it by eye, but I'm just going to show you so it's faster, that you can just type these in. And for the color, so let's just close out of that. We're going to go to Format now. So Fill Color, I'm going to just go here to the eyedropper. And one little trick with design is you can pick a color that's on your slide already. So I'm just going to pick a color from her shirt. So something like this. There we go. So that could be our color of the button. And then we're going to go to, let's see, line. Let's do no line for this. And shadow, we'll pick this one. And text box, this is key right here for this. So everything else here is fine. Just for auto fits, choose do not auto fit, because if you do choose to shrink text on overflow, what that's going to do is when you have, depending on how long your sentence is or whatever you're putting in there, it will shrink the text. So some text is going to look like font size 12 and some will look like it's size 16, so it doesn't look very good. So I choose this one, and then I just adjusted the button so that the size was pretty good. So I had to make the button larger, but I think it looks better. And just make sure it's wrapping if you want that. Okay, so we'll close that. So I'm gonna show you the first one here, and then I'll let you do the other 2 for the text that's gonna go in here, because you're just gonna be copying and pasting it, and then I'll come back and show you the end result. So let's go now to the file that you would have downloaded. Okay, so here's the file again. So we already did the first one. So now this is the first initial answer. So path A, sure, sounds like fun, count me in. And so we're just going to copy this text here. All right, and I'm going to just paste it in here. Now we have to adjust it. Okay, so I'm just going to highlight, and I'm going to go back to home here, and I'm going to make this just one of the theme colors. And it's going to be Open Sans, and we're going to make that 12 and make sure there's a bold and a shadow on it. Okay, before we go any further, I want to just restyle this, I think. So I've changed the color, but I think I want a different style. So I'm going to change that to that. You don't have to do this, and then I'll just recolor it. Okay, so I'll keep it like that. Now we're going to adjust all the states of the button. So the states are basically what the button will look like when it's in the normal state. This is the normal state when it's just on the screen at first. When you hover over it with your mouse, when you press the button, when it's selected, so now it's been clicked on, when it's been visited, so you can't, it's already been clicked, or if it's disabled, and things like that. So to do that, you just go to this button here, States, and you can see all the different ones here they have as default. So normal, hover down, visited, and disabled. And we're going to go to Edit States. And before we go any further, we're going to add one. So you can do that by just clicking here, New State. And you can use your own name for the state if you want, or you can select from the built-in ones. So we're going to choose this selected ones. There's also some other ones that we will get to probably in another video in this series that has to do with questions, so quiz questions. So I'm going to click selected here. And now we have a new state. So I'm going to go and I'm going to adjust the color of all of these ones to some sort of blue color that I used before. You can use whatever you like. And I'm going to have to adjust, I think, the style too, because it looks like the style with this line through the middle has now disappeared for these ones. So I will do that as well. So I'll do that first. So it's going to look a little funny at first. So I'm just going to use that preset there. So I'm only going to do it for, I'm not going to do it for this button. I'll just do it for some of these other ones, not for the one where it's pressed down, I guess. It doesn't really matter. You can do whatever you want. I'm just trying to make this look like the example. Okay, so I changed those. We'll leave this one just because it has the white border around it. But I'm going to change it to a blue, of course. So now I'm going to adjust the color. And I'm going to change it to this color. And actually, before I go any further, just make it a little easier, I'm going to add that to custom colors. So then it adds it right here. And I'm going to make the other ones the same. Okay, so now I've changed all the colors of the other states of the button to blue and left this one here in the start, the normal one, the pinky maroon color. So now that I'm done, I'm going to just click here, Done Editing States. But before I do that, I'll just show you here, you can duplicate a state, you can also delete, you can also reset. And this button here just dims the background as you're working on it, but you don't have to do that. So now I'm done, and I'm going to go back to the timeline. Okay, so now we're going to make the other two buttons on this initial page. I'm going to just let you create those, and you can just line them up, like eyeball it, doesn't really matter. And then I'll come back and show you the end result for the next two buttons. So what you're going to do is you're just going to copy and paste this 2 more times. You're going to go back to the file, and you're going to copy in the answers for path B and path C here. You'll have to scroll a little bit because the way I did this is I did path A all together, then path B, then path C. So just scroll until you find, just keep scrolling. Here we go, path B, answer to the main question. So you're going to copy this one in. And then you scroll down to where path C starts. Answer to the main question, copy this one in. So those will be your 3 initial buttons. Okay, so I'll be back in a couple minutes. It'll seem instantaneous to you, but I'll be back and I'll show you what I created so you can copy that. So it's basically just the same thing we just did, but you're just copy pasting the button now. Okay, so now I've created the 3 buttons here, as you can see. So I'll just kind of recap a little bit. So the first button here we already had created, and then I just copied it twice, and then I went to the file that you'll have access to, and I copied in the text. So here's an example here from path C. So I just copied the text here and put it into the button. It should automatically change to this yellow color. Okay, and let's go preview this. And then we will do a couple other things before we're done with the base layer. So go to preview. And because we just copied the buttons, we should be able to have the same effect on each one. So you can see when I hover over, the blue color is there. And then if I click, nothing's going to happen, but you can see that it shows how when you press the button and press. So now those are all selected. So let's go to the timeline now, and I'm going to just extend this out quite a bit. If you add background music there, that'll determine how long this is, but I'm just going to extend it, I don't know, a couple minutes here. It doesn't really matter. Okay, something like that. And then we're gonna go rename these just because it will make it easier when we're creating our triggers. So it's up to you what you want to name them. I'll try to make it similar to what we have in the file with the text boxes so you know, but it doesn't really have to be. I'm gonna use button numbers, so this is button 1, 2, and 3. But then I'll indicate that it's for question 1 because this is question 1, and that what path it is for. So this one's button 1, and it doesn't really matter what order these are in, so we can just keep it like this. So I'll just go here, rename. So I'll just rename these and you can just follow along. Okay, so there's the buttons, path A, B, and C. So I'm gonna just leave Lily, it doesn't really matter. You know, there's only one character, so I don't really need to rename that, but you can if you want. This is the slide title here, so we can just rename that. And this is the text for the scenario, so I'm just renaming that. So I'll just rename that scenario text Q, because if you go to the file, we just go up to the top here. The first question text here. So the first scene is just labeled Q here, so I just label the same. And the rectangle we can just leave, the picture we can just leave because we don't really do much with those. Okay. So I think that's all I'm going to label here. Another thing you might want to do though, because we're going to be duplicating this, is just move this one to the top just so it's in order. It might make it a little easier. Button 1, 2, 3. Okay, so just make sure everything is the way you want on the base layer, because we're going to be duplicating this and it's going to have a domino effect to the other layers. So it's good to take your time with the first one. Also, what we're going to do is we're going to add some animations to some of these elements here just so it looks a little nicer. So we covered that in the previous video about all the things to do with the letter A. So I'll just go through and I'm going to just add fade to all of these. So I'll just show you a couple and then you can go do that on your own and we'll just come back. Okay. So for example, I'll go to animation. I'm just going to add fade in for the title. Okay. And the text. Same thing. So you can click down here as well if you can't click up there. All right, so I've done a couple. You can go do the buttons and Lily, and then we'll come back. Okay, so I've now added animations to most things on the slide. Now, you can add it to the rectangle if you want in the background. I didn't do it. It's up to you if you want to do that, it doesn't matter. Okay, so let's go preview this just to see what it looks like. There we go. Okay,